Welcome back, everybody, to another Digital Gate Studios production. Basil,
We're here.
as promised, we are sending you guys some of these awesome RB1 decks. Which one do you have?
Yeah, Jesse, I'm proud to come to you and admit that I was wrong.
Okay.
When I first saw these RB1 cards and we were just starting to get them, I was very convinced that Diarbbitmon was the worst of the three.
Mm-hmm.
But I am not so sure anymore.
I'm not either after testing against you.
After playing it a fair amount, specifically in the matches versus the other RB1 decks, I think Diarbbitmon holds its own.
Yeah.
And so we've got my version of it.
All right,
So,
let's kick it off.
We'll jump right in, starting with the eggs. We've got 4 of the BT10 Bosamon.
Okay.
I'm just going to lay out the 5th egg.
We do run a 5.
Is the RB1 Bosamon. We
Okay.
are on 5 eggs, and we're going to talk about this a little bit.
Okay.
The first is that there are 5 eggs, which is a first for me in these deck profiles. I'm a 4 eggs loyalist.
You are a consistency man.
I think you pick your best egg and you play 4 of them because you want to see it every time.
Yeah.
We are playing BT1 Mimi in the deck.
Okay.
So we are going to cycle through eggs a little bit quicker. When you're deciding between the eggs, you have these 2 as options. The reason I'm running the BT10 Bosamon as the 4 of and not the 1 of is because if there is a turn where you cannot suspend all of their opponent's Digimon, you aren't going to activate your Bosamon from RB1.
Right.
So you'll need to suspend one thing to activate this egg. The reason that you would run this is either you're confident you can suspend everything that they have, or they aren't going to have anything on the board because this does not activate if they have no Digimon on the board, whereas this one does.
Makes sense.
The other thing to note is this egg is errated. It is once per turn.
Got it.
Your other option is Gummymon, which I think is perfectly fine as a draw egg. But I found with this deck, if you can't swing over your opponent's Digimon, you basically don't have anything to do.
Right.
So extra DP is the key to the deck.
And it's tribal.
And it's tribal, which is very nice.
You always get extra points for that.
So we'll jump into the rookies. The first is the RB1 Angoromon. It's the best rookie in the deck. It is a searcher, which grabs a card with Angoromon in its text, not necessarily in its name. Just about every card in the deck has Angoromon in its text, including some of our Tamers.
Oh.
And you can grab a Ruli. So this card is unique because it can search 3 and grab 2 Tamers, and it can also grab a Digimon and a Tamer. It also has the added benefit that it searches itself because Angoromon has Angoromon in its text.
Ah, very strong.
And then 1K, if your opponent has no suspended Digimon, it's the same effect as the egg.
Just get bigger and bigger and bigger.
Then we'll move into another Angoromon. This is the promo Angoromon.
Yeah.
It has nothing on its face, but if you have a Ruli in play when attacking, gain a memory.
That's really good.
It's very important in the strategy to gain a bunch of memory on the swing. We'll kind of get into the combo a little bit later on, but this is just another memory that you're going to gain on that swing. And it's very important to make sure at the end of your swing, it's your turn. Then we've got 3 of the BT10 Angoromon. This is one that I started to play. I started with as an immediate 4 of because I thought we need to draw as much as possible so we can find not only our full line but as many Rulis as we can. And the more you play with it, the more you realize that it's the best turn 1 Angoromon, but it's not necessarily the best turn later in the game. The best rookie later in the game. Because by the time you've gotten through a couple turns, you don't really need to draw anymore. You just need to gain memory and have extra DP.
Finish the game out, yeah.
So I ended up replacing the last BT10 Angoromon with one BT13 Angoromon.
I didn't realize there were so many.
Yeah, there are a few. We're even getting more in the LM packs, but we don't have them yet. But the BT13 Angoromon, the blocker comes up in very few instances.
Yeah, and 1K.
Yeah, the 1K blocker is not the most threatening, but it does have the same all turns effect of if they have no unsuspended Digimon, gain 1K,
Nice.
which is important. And there are times the level 6 Diarbbitmon is a blocker. So you can, at the end of your turn, pass with the Angoromon and have 2 blockers, which some decks will have trouble outing.
Pretty good. So 12 rookies.
12 rookies. We're going to move on to the level 4s. Starting with the RB1 Simbar Angoromon.
Mm-hmm.
All of the RB1 cards are the best cards in these decks.
Yeah.
They're pretty much automatic inclusions at 4. This one plays a Ruli if you don't have one, and gains 1k if you have no unsuspended Digimon. Everything you could ever want out of a card. We'll move now into the BT10 Simbar Angoromon. This is when you suspend something, gain a memory.
Yep.
So we're on the turn where we're promoting and going up into our level 6. We're hopefully going to be suspending something.
Yeah.
And so this is going to activate again with the memory here, and the memory on the level 6. We're going to be gaining a lot of memory and keeping it our turn. Then we've got the BT13 Simbar Angoromon as just as a 2 of.
Okay.
The jamming is relevant for a little bit of early aggression. This deck has a really hard time wiping out your opponent's security in one go.
Mm-hmm.
It sort of controls the board and beats them down as they play Digimon. So this is something that I really like to go on top of a Searcher level 3 if I don't have something to play a Ruli or I already have a Ruli in play.
Yep.
Going on top of this, it has the 1k inheritable with the same condition, but you can also swing with jamming. And then after you swing with jamming, the RB1 Ruli will let you unsuspend.
Oh, so that's really good.
It's pretty hard to get around. So I like 12 rookies, 10 level 4s. Then we'll get into the level 5s. Again, RB1, we put 4 in the deck.
Yeah.
This is the Lemortmon. This is how we gain piercing in the deck.
Which is really strong.
Which is very important because we want to swing at Digimon. And so this is the best level 5 to see.
Yep.
It also suspends something.
Yeah.
So if the case where they have a lot of Digimon, going into this is going to suspend something, and then the level 6 is going to suspend something. So we're able to suspend a lot of Digimon.
That's one thing that really caught me off guard playing against this deck was how efficiently you can essentially target any Digimon on the field, kill it, and pierce, and get security.
No Digimon on the field is safe versus this deck. But like I said, suspending something is really important, and then it has the inherited skill of trash the security when you delete a Digimon. Yep. So you're going to delete something, trash a security, and then pierce. So you're going to kill a Digimon and 2 security in one go.
Doing some gnarly security business.
Then we've got 3 of the BT13 Lemortmon.
Man, we are tribal through and through on this deck. Let's go.
This is the Warp Lemortmon.
Okay.
If you have a Ruli, you can tuck a level 4 to go from a level 3 to a level 5.
That's good.
Which is very nice because a lot of your Digivolutions are going to be pretty cheap, and we're going to gain a lot of memory. So going from a 3 to a 6 is not unheard of in this deck.
Cool.
And you can even keep it your turn after doing that. And it has the same inherited skill as the other Lemortmon of trashing a security when you delete a Digimon in battle. Now, I went back and forth on this card, but I ended up deciding to keep it in as a 1 of. This is the BT10 Lemortmon.
Okay, the older one, yeah.
The benefit to this card is that it's like an emergency level 6 in a lot of ways. It's 9k on its face, and it gains a lot of DP from all of our inheritables. And it's going to unsuspend when you delete something. You're never really going to lose 2 memory when you attack because you're pretty much always going to have at least a Ruli, if not some other Tamers. But the downside to this card is it doesn't say Angoromon anywhere on the card.
Ooh,
so it's not searchable. It doesn't trigger a lot of our effects. But it is, like I said, an emergency level 6 in a lot of ways. So I kept it in as a 1 of.
That's fair.
All right, let's talk about the big bad.
There he is.
Got 4 of the RB1 Diarbbitmon. So this card is a little bit unintuitive to use, so I'll kind of just explain it. It's a blocker, which is very nice because a lot of our DP buffs are all turns. So it can be, on a lot of occasions, a 14k blocker, which some decks can't necessarily get around. It has when Digivolving and when attacking, not once per turn, suspend something, then if they have no unsuspended Digimon, gain 1. So when you Digivolve, you gain 1. When you attack, you gain 1. And there's a combo with this deck with one of the Tamers that lets you attack multiple times per turn.
Nice.
So this card says 4 to Evo, but it's effectively 2 to Evo, but realistically, we're going to gain even more than that.
Right.
Then it has the other half of the combo is the end of turn, attack a Digimon.
So gnarly.
Which is very important to note. It's attack a Digimon. It's not attack.
Yeah.
So if they have no Digimon, you cannot activate its ability. So that's one thing to keep in mind when you're playing this deck. We do have 2 of our emergency Diarbbitmons. This is the promo.
That also came in RB1.
It was also an RB1. Yeah, we got it a little bit late. This card I expected to be a bigger performer in the deck at launch because it's cheaper to Evo and it suspends 2 things, which I thought would have been very good.
Yeah.
But it ended up being a little bit less impactful than the RB1 Diarbbitmon because it doesn't gain memory. So I prefer to have the RB1, but this one is good too because, like I said, it suspends 2 things. Then if you have Angoromon in sources, when you delete something, unsuspend.
Yeah, it's good.
And it doesn't necessarily even have to be itself. So it can unsuspend one of your other Digimon, as well as its all turns. So if you delete something in battle by blocking, you can unsuspend.
Unsuspend your jammer, that'd be good. Yeah.
So there's a lot of utility in this card. It is the worst of the 2, but I still think includable at 2. Now we're going to do a brief aside. There are no more Digimon in this deck.
Ooh, okay.
And something is notably missing.
Level
it's a level 7.
Yeah.
Quartzmon, I think, is perfectly fine to put in the deck.
Right.
It's obviously a very good card. Everybody knows that. I personally did not put Quartzmon in the deck. And the reason being, I don't think it's necessary because the whole strategy of our deck is swinging over stuff and unsuspending.
Yeah.
And so if we're swinging over our opponent's Digimon, we're not really freezing a lot of stuff with the Quartzmon, which is a little bit of anti-synergy in the strategy. But if you put 2 Quartzmon or even 3 Quartzmon in this deck, I wouldn't be like, oh, I wonder why they did that. They did it because it's a good card.
It is a good card.
But I opted for a pure Angoromon strategy, very, very consistent, and Quartzmon kind of messes with that.
Yeah.
But like I said, nobody would be like, I wonder why Quartzmon's being played here. It's a good card. But we'll go into the options first, is 4 Green Memory Boost.
Yep.
Green Memory Boost is the glue that holds this deck together.
You find any of your pieces.
Your draw engine is contingent on Digivolution and searching and drawing here. So Green Memory Boost kind of fills in the gaps there.
Makes sense.
I think it's the biggest key to consistency is in that Green Memory Boost. We've got 1 hidden potential discovered for obvious reasons.
Because why not?
Going into your Diarbbitmon for 0 and then gaining 2 is kind of like a Bloomlord in a lot of ways.
Yeah.
But Bloomlord can't unsuspend or trash security, whereas Diarbbitmon can. So I think playing HBDs, you play the ban cards when you can.
Yep.
Then we'll get into Tamers. A bunch of Tamers coming at you. The first is the RB1 Ruli. Again, an RB1 card we put 4 in.
Only thing you didn't put 4 in is the egg, right?
Is the egg, yeah, which
funny.
I think you probably could.
Yeah.
Anyhow, the Ruli is your turn when you Digivolve. Suspend this Tamer to reduce that Digivolve by 1. It is not gain a memory, which does come up in some specific instances. Then, end of turn, if you unsuspend one of your Digimon with Angoromon in its text. So again, doesn't work with Lamortmon, but works with every other card in the deck.
That's crazy.
And so the strategy with the Diarbbitmon is you go into it, you attack over something, and then you pass the turn somehow. You play a Ruli, you play a Boost, you play a Searcher, whatever the case. You pass the turn. End of turn, unsuspend it, and then attack something.
Yeah, because you get to choose the order in which they trigger. Yep.
And then depending on your memory state or the opponent board state, you can do that multiple times per turn, depending on how many Rulis you have.
That's really good.
We've got more Rulis. This is the promo Ruli. It is when one of your Digimon with Angoromon in its Digivolution cards attacks, suspend this Tamer to gain 3k. Like I said, if you cannot swing over your opponent's Digimon, you don't have a deck. The only thing this deck does is swing over suspended Digimon,
trash security,
and trash security, and then repeat.
Yeah.
So if you cannot swing over your opponent, you have lost the game. So I've seen lists go like 2 or even just 1 of this Ruli, and it's just basically a very risky game.
Yeah.
If you don't see it and your opponent plays Death X, you can't get over it.
Yeah.
Because you just won't get enough DP consistently.
Yeah. So best you'll be able to do is swing into a trade.
This is our answer to level 7s. This is our answer to War Greymon and big blockers. I think this card is very, very important.
So you're missing a Ruli, right? There's one more we don't play.
We are missing a Ruli. We are opting for the Mimis instead.
No, the tribal is dead.
The problem with the Ruli, the memory setting Ruli, is that it's terrible. It's a memory setter, and it's suspend this Tamer to swing at a 5k or something like that.
Yeah.
Like it's very, very power crept. Yeah. Mimi is a very, very good card for the deck.
Speeds it up, accelerates.
You can promote out your eggs. You can go a little bit wide with it, as well as on a turn where you evo a rookie in the back and then play the BT10 Angoromon. The next turn you can play Mimi, and you can go into the RB1 Simera Angoromon, and you can play a Ruli because the Mimi does not restrict you from playing one off of the level 4.
Gotcha.
So that's what I really like. I really like the Mimi. If you wanted to go full in on the tribal aspect and play that Ruli, I commend you. I don't think it's the right call.
Yep.
But that's the deck.
I love it, man. And this, if you guys don't know, this is a pretty budget deck. You can build this deck for very, very cheap, and it's a fun one. You will surprise people at your locals. If you get really good with this deck, you'll surprise people. It's very good at board control, and that trashing security always hurts. Always hurts. So thanks again, Basil. We'll have more RB1 deck profiles and updates to other deck profiles coming your way soon. So we'll see you then.